These are the new metal releases for November 28th, 2025. I know I said last week it was going to be the last episode and that I was going to do a best of November video, but I changed my mind. I'm going to do this episode and close out November. Then in the first week of December, I'm going to start with my end of the year content, which will be various videos divided by different genres, including thrash metal, heavy metal, death metal, rock, progressive metal, power metal, etc. But before I get into any of that, I still have this video where I will talk about 7 albums. Let's get into it. The first band I have is called Carnal Savagery. They are a Swedish death metal band known for their old school sound that blends classic Swedish HM2 riffing with old school US death metal. The album in question is their 7th full-length album, Crypt of Decay. It was released on November 28, 2025 via Moribund Records. The band is based in Gothenburg, Sweden, with 2 members. Mikael Lindgren plays all the guitars, bass, and drums, and Matthias Liha provides the guttural death vocals. The band is known for having an authentic, raw, and organic production style that pays homage to the forefathers, like Entombed, Dismember, Autopsy, and Grave. As for the lyrics, it's typical death metal stuff, with some lyrics based on stories of various serial killers. This was my first time listening to this band. I read some reviews saying that the production has improved over the course of their albums, giving it that crunchy overall production characteristic of the Swedish death metal sound. The music has lots of fast tempos and intense breakdowns, but they always maintain their signature Swedish and US death metal style. The album also features a guest lead guitar appearances by Matthias Kiros from Bleak Flesh and Sasha Samoya from Beyond Chaos and Crown of Decay. Overall, it's just some old school death metal, nothing more, nothing less. My score will be 7.5 out of 10. Let me know if you are a fan of this band. Next is the band Equilibrium. They are a German epic and folk metal band. The album is called Equinox, their 7th studio album, released on November 28, 2025. The band has a very theatrical folk metal style. They formed in Bavaria in 2001, and their sound has evolved over the years from early epic pagan and black metal, and later began to incorporate elements of metalcore, industrial, and symphonic metal. This band is known for their sweeping melodies and grand orchestral passages. The band's lyrical themes have shifted from Germanic tales and mythology to more personal topics of self-empowerment and the human experience. As for the album Equinox, it's their first album in 6 years. It was released via Nuclear Blast Records. The album was meant to be a spiritual journey that balances the light and dark sides of the music, connecting humanity, nature, and creativity. I found the album to be very strange and unique. I had a hard time trying to put them into one box, as they seem to cover all these different genres. The album has everything from big orchestral sections to powerful melodic death metal riffs. I don't really know what else to say about the album. It's very complex, but I think if I listen to it a few times, I might be able to get into it. But for now, I'm just going to keep it at 7 out of 10. It's one of those bands I don't really understand, but they could grow on me over time if I listen to them some more. Next, I have a band from my favorite country for metal bands. The name of the band is Dark Lawn. They're an epic heavy metal and power metal band from Athens, Greece that formed in 2017. The album is called Mind Reaper, released on November 20, 2025 via No Remorse Records. It's also the 3rd album. First time I ever listened to this band, but according to some of the reviews I read, the album showcases a shift towards a more focused, in-your-face US power metal sound. I found this album to be very enjoyable because they play a genre called US power metal, which is kind of like a hybrid of thrash metal, power metal, and traditional heavy metal. Think of bands like Omen, Jag Panzer, and Vicious Rumors. I still haven't listened to their first 2 albums, but apparently this album has more of a raw sound with more of a riff-driven heavy metal sound. And I can agree with that because, in my opinion, I thought it just sounded like the US power metal sound that I had just described. But overall, I thought the album was very fun. It was very energetic. Songs were upbeat, and it still has that unique Greek sound, which is hard to describe, but every Greek band has it. I seem to be biased with Greek bands, so I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. I think it could go up if I give it some more time, but that's my score. Let me know if you have ever listened to this band before. Next, I have another Greek band, so I'm lucky because I get 2 of them this week. The band is called Steel Arctus. They are an epic / heavy metal band that fuses traditional heavy metal with storytelling and epic metal. They draw inspiration from bands like Manowar, Judas Priest, and Dio. The 3rd album, Dream Ruler, it was released on November 28, 2025 via No Remorse Records. Steel Arctus, formed in 2020 by guitarist Thanasis Nash Goulis, and the band's name is a tribute to their homeland's Pindus Mountains, with Arctos, meaning bear in Greek, symbolizing strength. The band's concept centers around a warrior protagonist whose adventures are chronicled across their albums. This was also the first time I'd ever listened to the band, but I read some reviews saying that this is the band's most ambitious and atmospheric work to date. The album's concept is based on a warrior named Steel Arctus. He is on a mission, and his mission is to navigate the labyrinth of dreams and nightmares to face the Dream Ruler and conquer his own hidden fears and save the Arcadian lady. As for the music, the album blends traditional heavy metal with elements of power and epic heavy metal. The album features soaring vocals and powerful guitar riffs. Now, despite the fact that this band is not breaking any new grounds in terms of originality, the songs are super catchy and they're bringing back this very epic and fun type of heavy metal back. Some of the best songs in the albums were Defender of Steel and the title track Dream Ruler. Overall, like I said, I'm biased against Greek bands, but this one was a little better. I'm giving this one 8.5 out of 10. Let me know if you've ever listened to this band.
Back for more.
Next, I have the band Hell's Domain. They are a Danish thrash metal band, and Terminal State is their second full-length album, released on November 27, 2025. The band Hell's Domain formed in 2007, and their original intention was to create a band that plays catchy Bay Area-inspired metal. Their self-titled debut was released in 2013 to critical acclaim, and now they're back after 12 years. It's one of those bands that plays old-school thrash metal. They're for fans of bands like Testament, Forbidden, and Artillery. It's also a short album with just 8 tracks in 30 minutes. The opening track's pretty cool, called Coming Back for More. And the song begins with a soundbite, and it says, like, sometimes they come back for more. And it goes into some old-school thrash metal. Then there was a track, In the Ashes, which reminded me of Among the Living era Anthrax, with heavy riffs and big vocals. I also like the song Enemies at the Gate, which was one of the faster paced songs with some intense drumming. Overall, it was some old school thrash metal. If you like those old Bay Area thrash bands, you should check it out. My score is an 8 out of 10. Let me know if you've ever listened to their first album. Next, I have Canadian stoner / doom / heavy psychedelic rock band Pale Horse Ritual. The album was called Diabolic Formation. Out of all the albums, I listened to this one the most. I had it as a promo. The album was released on November 28, 2025 via Black Throne Productions. You have some good tracks here, such as Deflowered, which was inspired by horror movies and filled with those fuzzy proto-heavy metal style guitar riffs. There's also the track Wickedness, which has elements of psychedelic rock and spooky organs and haunting vocals. There's also Holy Lies, which has some awesome vocal melodies, as well as Save You with some acoustic guitars and atmosphere. There are also a few upbeat tracks, such as Bloody Demon, which has this rock and roll vibe, groovy rhythms, fuzzy guitars, and a memorable hook. Then there is DED with some awesome drumming and spooky organ playing. The song DED also explores the concept of an afterlife and the inevitability of death. The album closes with A Beautiful End, which is a love story between a man and a vampiress. The song features more of those creepy organs and spooky vocals. I give this an 8 out of 10. I don't listen to a lot of stoner metal, but this was one of the better ones, so I liked it. I'm going to end this episode with the self-titled debut album by a thrash band, Struck a Nerve. This is some thrash metal that combines hardcore and brutal thrash. They can be compared to bands like Sodom, Demolition Hammer, Power Trip, Enforced, and Slayer. Many songs about the presence of violence throughout history and how they compare to the present day. The music also has elements of death metal and crossover thrash, as well as some HM2 in the guitar sound. The album has 9 tracks. Opening track, Nocturnal Terror, kicks off the album with some intense thrash with some riffs that reminded me of early Slayer. Next is the song Struck a Nerve by the band Struck a Nerve, and the album of the same name. The song has more of a crossover or hardcore sound. And then there was Parade of Violence, which has some straightforward thrash with speed and aggression. There was another song called Raining Death, which by the song title sounds like they're paying homage to Slayer, and that was what the song sounded like. Overall, it was some pretty intense thrash. My score is an 8 out of 10. I think if you like the more extreme side of thrash, check out this band. So that is all. Let me know in the comments section if there was anything else I missed. Check out last week's episode that I will stick right here. As I said before, I will be doing some end of the year content in December, probably starting next week. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Please like this video. Helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you're not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. And I will see you in the next one.